Hey guys, my name is HMK and I'm bringing to you another Legend of Zelda countdown video. This time around, we're gonna tackle the top 10 Legend of Zelda swords. These bladed weaponry have always played a critical part in the Legend of Zelda series, being Link's optimal tool to slay enemies. And this list is primarily for the swords that are wielded by the many incarnations of Link. The sword has been an important arm and symbol in reality and fantasy, and in The Legend of Zelda, they are no different. Each title has different blades with different powers and abilities, and we're gonna rank them right now with number 10. This simple sword has been a helpful ally in a handful of Zelda adventures, including the very first game. Though perhaps the weakest sword in the Zelda mythos, this weapon has been a trusted partner in the games, as it serves as both a tool to show you the ropes and as a promise of something greater. The wooden sword has been there for us all in the beginning, and it's a trusted friend, and it's only fitting that it finds its place on the list, getting number 10. The final sword in the original Legend of Zelda, often mistaken for the Master Sword, but in truth there are two entirely different blades. A sword of formidable strength, but nothing more, as this weapon isn't necessary in striking down Ganon. A desirable weapon, but it can only be acquired by proving your worth and displaying that your heart counter is at 12 or more. Though this sword phased out of importance, we all knew back in the day that the magical sword was the original end-all sword that many seeked, and that is why it gets number 9. The Force Sword is both a very powerful sword and a very useful magical item that splits its wielder into 4 entities. Originally known as the Biggoron blade, the sword is tempered and transformed by the power of the elements. The Force Sword is key in striking down Vati, and later, Ganon. The sword has acted as a prison for the Wind Mage on multiple occasions before finally ending him in 4 Sword Adventures. When split by the Force Sword, each wielder of the blade carries a specific trait that sets them apart, but they are ultimately bound together as a team by the blade. The sword itself has shown properties that rivals the Master Sword, but to a lesser extent. Despite that, the Force Sword has proven to be an iconic weapon, appearing in multiple games, and that is why it earns number 8. The ultimate form of the Kokiri Sword. In Majora's Mask, you can take your original blade from Ocarina of Time to the Snowhead Blacksmith, along with some highly sought golden powder, and after a few days, your wimpy little dagger of sword becomes this amazing gilded blade of badass proportions. But seriously, the Gilded Sword was a big deal, especially for young Link, as its power and reach compared to the Kokiri Sword triples in statistics. That and the fact that it's made with gold. Number 7, everybody. A sword of great power that is used by the spirits of good long before the events of Spirit Tracks. The Lokomo sword is passed down to Link after retrieving the Bow of Light. The blade is imbued with sacred energy that allows it to harm phantoms without the need of tears of light. However, despite its great power, it cannot kill phantoms outright, unlike the Phantom Sword. However, the power of the sword is capable of vanquishing demons, as Link uses it to put an end to Maldice, once and for all, and for this, the Lokomo sword gets number 6. In Ocarina of Time, there's a third obtainable sword by the name of the Biggoron sword. And no, I don't mean the giant's knife, that breakable bullshit. Anyways, within the game statistics, the Biggoron sword is actually stronger than the Master Sword, but it requires 2 hands to wield, and it doesn't have the power to smite evil, so it cannot defeat Ganon. However, this blade sure is a powerhouse, and it's acquired through a rather tedious trading sequence, but once it's all over, the immense satisfaction that follows is unlike any other Zelda side quest ever. And that is why the Biggoron sword gets number 5. One of the only known weapons capable of slaying phantoms in the Phantom Hourglass, the Phantom Sword is key to slaying Bellum. The sword is made from 3 pure metals and the Phantom Hourglass itself, and because of this, the sword has many great abilities, including the power of time the Phantom Hourglass originally provided, and it grants its wielder immunity from the life-stealing forces of the Ocean King Temple. A sword of many mystical properties and powers that has sealed its place on this list at number 4. Don't let the name fool you, this sword is quite the beast. Obtained in Majora's Mask by retrieving all the fairies in the Stone Tower, this sword acts as one of the strongest swords in the entire Legend of Zelda. However, this sword is a bit weird as it doesn't act as a typical equipable sword, instead of acting as a C button item. Despite only appearing in Majora's Mask and as the ultimate weapon for Link in Soul Calibur 2, the Great Fairy Sword has made its iconic mark in its own way with its elegant design and great power. And that is why the Great Fairy Sword gets number 3. The blade held by the great and powerful Fierce Deity. This sword is immense, perhaps being the biggest sword in the entire Legend of Zelda series, while also being even more destructive than the Great Fairy Sword thanks to its innate ability to combine its sword strikes with powerful sword beams, resulting in double the striking power of the Great Fairy Sword. Though the only way to hold this awe-inspiring blade is to take on the ferocious form of Fierce Deity himself, and like its wielder, though it may be powerful, its origins is shrouded in mystery, but many fans cry out to reveal its infinite power once again. This blade has the power to end the most dangerous of foes in mere seconds, and that is why the Helix Blade or the Fierce Deity Sword gets number 2. This is it, guys, the end-all, be-all sword of the entire Zelda franchise, the Master Sword. Of course it's the Master Sword, but here's the reason why. This powerful weapon and tool has been in more Zelda adventures than any other blade, and as its name suggests, the sword chooses and is bound to its master, the ever-incarnate hero, Link, and it can only be wielded by him in battle. Though the sword may have offensive superiors in some games, the Master Sword is the only weapon capable of eradicating evil, purely and utterly. It can reflect and repel anything with malevolent intent and can be upgraded to reach untold heights of power. In its prime, the Master Sword can perform skyward strikes, sword beams, reflect all malevolent energy, and even slay the strongest of evil that many believe is unkillable. The Master Sword also acts as a tool that seals away terrible monstrosities and as a key that leads to the sacred realm and through passages of time itself. Though other swords may be strong, the Master Sword transcends strength. It is the beginning for heroes, and it is the end for evil, and that is why the Master Sword gets the number 1 spot in HMK's list of top 10 Legend of Zelda swords. There you have it, Zelda fanatics. So what did you think of HMK's top 10 Legend of Zelda swords? With the promise of a future Zelda title, we can expect some of these blades to return, along with the advent of new powerful swords that could potentially rival or outclass these iconic weapons. As always, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, a comment, share, favorite, and subscribe for more top 10s and more Zelda content. And don't forget to check out my other videos as well. And until next time, I've been HMK, and I'll check you guys later.